studio shakeups, disinterested A-listers, and dances with wolves in space. Wondering what the holdup is for the long-awaited third Alien vs. Predator movie? It's more complicated than you think. The biggest problem Alien vs. Predator 3 has faced in getting off the ground is that the momentum behind the idea faded pretty quickly following the second entry. Back in 2004, Alien vs. Predator sounded like a genre movie dream come true. It certainly paid off for 20th Century Fox. It made $177 million worldwide from a budget of $70 million, and, as Deadline reported, became an extremely profitable title for the studio. The 2007 follow-up, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, also made money, pulling in $130 million from a reduced budget of $40 million. The trouble was, the vast majority of critics panned the films, especially the sequel, which scored a damning 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. After Requiem, the very idea of Alien vs. Predator became toxic. Fox execs were content to put this crossover in the past and explore other corners of the Alien and Predator franchises. It also probably didn't help that the horror movie genre had shifted toward lower budget and found footage films by the late 2000s, which were dominating the genre. Fearing that a third film would not be a success, execs pivoted away from Alien vs. Predator and went down the route of individual installments to mixed results. 2010's Predators and 2018's The Predator both struggled to make an impact domestically, and while 2012's Prometheus became the highest-grossing Alien film ever, 2017's Alien Covenant was hamstrung by its whopping $97 million budget.
What do you believe in, David? Creation.
But the success of more recent offerings like 2022's Prey and 2024's Alien Romulus have proven that separating the Alien and Predator franchises was the right move in the long run. There's currently more interest in expanding the individual franchises rather than merging them for a third Alien vs. Predator outing. Before they co-helmed 2010's Skyline, visual effects veterans Greg and Colin Strauss, known professionally as the Brothers Strauss, directed Alien vs. Predator Requiem, replacing Paul W.S. Anderson. The siblings did have ideas for where Alien vs. Predator 3 could go by the time Requiem hit theaters. Specifically, they had set their sights on the stars. Speaking to reporters during a roundtable interview ahead of the release of Alien vs. Predator Requiem, the brothers Strauss revealed that they intended on reworking an idea they had for the first Alien vs. Predator film. Colin told Comic Book Resources in 2007, "We originally pitched on the first Alien vs. Predator and it was kind of a space epic. I always equated it to Dances with Wolves in space. It involved the alien homeworld and a lot of pretty interesting stuff, and the concept still holds up. We definitely think we have an idea there." The Alien vs. Predator films feature plots and characters largely divorced from the main Alien and Predator sagas. Part of that is simply because there wasn't as much mythos to draw from at the time, particularly for the Predator saga, which only spanned 2 features. After 2 decades and several more Alien and Predator adventures, though, there are now a ton of unresolved pre-established plot elements from which Alien vs. Predator 3 could draw. For example, that big tease in the credits of Prey hinted at a rematch fight between the Predators and Naru's Comanche tribe. The ending of Alien Romulus also left 1 or 2 dangling plot threads that could get resolved in a third Alien vs. Predator outing. Even less revered outings in these franchises could inform the Alien vs. Predator 3 plot. The Predator ended on a cliffhanger involving humanity procuring a Predator suit, so perhaps Alien vs. Predator 3 could explore how human beings are handling that technology. Or checking in on the survivors of 2010's Predators after so many years could be interesting, and also a way to get Oscar winner Adrian Brody back into the franchise.
This planet is a game preserve. And we're the game.
Given how expansive the Alien and Predator worlds have become, there are lots of possibilities. This could be a great opportunity to explain more of the Predator story while also adding to the Alien movie saga. Speaking of the rapid expansion of the Alien and Predator franchises, that reality means that a prospective Alien vs. Predator 3 could utilize pre-established lead characters beyond figures played by Sigourney Weaver and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s. Prey and Alien Romulus specifically have delivered lead characters audiences tremendously connected with that could easily anchor Alien vs. Predator 3. Amber Midthunder's brave warrior Naru became a sensation after 2022's Prey. Getting to see her again could boost the event status of Alien vs. Predator 3. Alien Romulus survivors Rain, Carradine, and Andy also have the experience and know-how to take on lead roles in Alien vs. Predator 3. It seems quite likely that if Alien vs. Predator 3 were to happen, it would lean heavily or even exclusively on the younger stars of the newer standalone Alien and Predator installments, given how successful they've been. But there's always a chance that the survivors of the original 2 Alien vs. Predator movies could find their way back into a third installment. Sanaa Lathan's Lex Woods from Alien vs. Predator could be a fun character to check back in with decades after her first close encounter with these nasty beings. Perhaps even Stephen Pasquale's Dallas Howard from Alien vs. Predator Requiem could come back for cameos. There's clearly no shortage of potential stars for Alien vs. Predator 3. If there's anyone that audiences shouldn't hold their breath to see in a potential Alien vs. Predator 3, it's Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley.
We'll move in pairs, we'll go step by step and cut off every bulkhead and every vent until we have it cornered.
Fans would no doubt love to see Weaver make a triumphant return to the franchise, but it's highly unlikely she would appear in the third installment. While speaking to IGN back when the first Alien vs. Predator film was still in the production process, Weaver noted that Ripley's death in Alien 3 was supposed to be definitive, both for the character and her as an actor, regardless of her decision to come back for Resurrection. She said, "The whole reason I died in the end of 3 was that I really didn't want anything to do with it. I just didn't get the point of, after 3 good movies, making a kind of video game movie, and I still don't." Her shadow will always linger over these sagas, but there's pretty much no way Weaver is going to return for Alien vs. Predator 3. While promoting Alien Romulus, director Fede Álvarez was asked about the concept of Alien vs. Predator 3. Rather surprisingly, he revealed that he had a vision for how a third installment in the crossover franchise could work. Specifically, Álvarez loved the idea of him directing half of the movie and the other half of the feature being helmed by Prey director Dan Trachtenberg. He told Deadline, "Maybe it's something I have to co-direct with my buddy Dan. Maybe we should do like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Dusk Till Dawn. I'll direct a half and he'll direct another half." Trachtenberg has been pretty tight-lipped when it comes to expanding the Alien vs. Predator franchise, but that could just be because he's been busy with his various Predator projects at 20th Century Studios. When 20th Century Studios boss Steve Asbell sat down with The Hollywood Reporter in 2024, though, he confirmed that we would probably see another Alien vs. Predator movie at some stage, telling the outlet, "If we do this, they'll be organically created out of these 2 franchises that we've continued with characters that we fall in love with, and those characters will combine, perhaps. But we haven't gotten to that point, and we're not just going to bang it out." In the 2010s, nods to a possible Alien vs. Predator 3 being in the works were confined to just one film. Ridley Scott made a grand return to the Alien franchise with Prometheus and Alien Covenant movies that were uninterested in crossover tomfoolery.
Hey, baby.
You're strong.
The Predator, on the other hand, did carve out some time for an Alien vs. Predator shoutout. In one scene, an array of Predator-related artifacts are shown. Among these trinkets is a weapon from 2004's Alien vs. Predator. After Predators focused solely on Predator mythology, this tiny nod to The Predator confirmed that xenomorphs were still out there in this fictional universe. What's interesting is that, at one point, The Predator nearly concluded on a much more explicit reference to Alien. The final cut of The Predator ends with a bunch of scientists opening a pod from the Predator's ship that contains a Predator suit which attaches itself to a lab worker. But a total of 3 endings were filmed, and 2 of them were Alien tie-ins. In one version, the pod opened to reveal none other than Ellen Ripley wearing a facehugger-like mask. This is according to special effects artist Yuri Everson, who creates practical props. The scene was actually filmed, with stuntwoman Brianna Watkins playing Ripley. The third ending saw an adult version of the beloved Alien character Newt emerging from the pod as the fabled Predator killer. The chances of Alien vs. Predator 3 happening were already on the slim side in 2017, when the acquisition of 21st Century Fox by the Walt Disney Company was announced. This meant major upheaval for 20th Century Fox, the home of both the Alien and Predator franchises. Suddenly, one of the biggest Hollywood studios was changing hands, and everything at this institution ground to a halt. Lots of planned Fox movies would ultimately get canceled as Disney executives aimed to put their own spin on how the studio and its projects should proceed. It's not like there was an Alien vs. Predator 3 ready to start filming before the Disney-Fox merger mucked everything up. But any possible movement for this franchise in the home stretch of the 2010s was pretty much obliterated thanks to this corporate development. Countless big projects, including a solo Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum, got crushed during this purchase. Even if someone had a killer Alien vs. Predator 3 pitch around this time, it's doubtful it could have ever been realized as Fox transformed into a new studio. After so many years of false starts and dead-end rumors, Alien vs. Predator fans finally had something to be genuinely excited about with the release of the teaser trailer for Predator Badlands. Most of the trailer is focused on the film's Predator hero, but there's also plenty of footage of the human lead, Thea, played by Elle Fanning.
I didn't think you survived.
In the middle of the Badlands trailer, it's revealed that she's a robot, but not just any robot. She's a Weyland-Yutani android, as seen by the company's famous logo appearing on her eyes as they roll back. Director Dan Trachtenberg has not given any more information about this Easter egg, nor how the Alien saga could factor more into the lore of Badlands. But this very explicit connection between the Alien and Predator franchises certainly caught the eyes of countless Alien vs. Predator fans. Speculation began running rampant over what other kind of crossovers between the two franchises could exist within Badlands. Meanwhile, Fede Álvarez's 2024 comments about his vision for Alien vs. Predator 3 involving himself and Badlands Helmer Trachtenberg suddenly took on new degrees of likelihood with this Easter egg. The Badlands teaser is exciting on multiple levels, including promising something radically different from Trachtenberg's Prey and any other Predator sequel. The teaser breathing new life into the likelihood of Alien vs. Predator 3 is arguably the highlight. While there's nothing concrete on a third film being in the pipeline just yet, this major tease means we're closer to a third Alien vs. Predator movie than ever before.